Welcome to the Fatu Network. I'm your host, Dauda Balde. In this episode of the Fatu Network exclusive, today we're going to discuss a very important matter, that is the National Assembly failing to conduct an oversight function, budget oversight to be specific, budget oversight. And in the studio, we have someone, journalist Flex Dan, Joseph Taylor, who is also the editor of Askanwi Media, a platform that focuses on in-depth reporting. Also, most importantly, Yusuf is a very passionate journalist who always look around issues of finance reporting, which is a rare area that is underreported in the Gambian media, but he has been reporting on these issues so oftenly. So this is why we invited him today to discuss the Parliament lack of conducting budget oversight for a year in 2024. Yusuf, it's a pleasure to have you here at the Fatu Network.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you, discussing pertinent issues about our country and how we can make things go forward. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here. Like I say, you've been someone who has been reporting on finance issue, and you have deep understanding on parliamentary proceedings as well. Take us through. We understand that the Parliament has not conducted a budget oversight for almost a year, which is also a violation of the standing orders. Can you take us through?
Thank you so much. This is something which, to me, has been a disturbing and a concerning issue since last year. Since last year, we've been observing and following Parliament, because Parliament is a very important institution. They are, if I could say, pretty much the only institution for me that has the right to or responsibility to conduct what you call budget oversight, not just at the end, because there's the audit office, and they come at the end of the whole process, and they would audit for example, the government's, full, statement and all of that financial statement to see if it's correct. But this budget oversight, it takes place as and when every quarterly, every session, ordinary session, finance minister would come and say, yes, you've passed a budget. This was the budget you passed, but now this is how it has been spent. This was supposed to happen on Monday last week, just directly last week ago. The Minister for Finance was scheduled to come to Parliament and tell parliamentarians how the budget is being implemented, but he failed to do so, and there has not been any reason advanced or put forward
To
justify this. Why has it been postponed or not? So, as I said, we've been observing this since last year. The second ordinary session, the finance minister didn't do this to tell the Parliament how the budget is being implemented. Third ordinary session, the finance minister didn't do that. In the fourth ordinary session, he did so because there's a budget that he needs to pass for the following year. But parliamentarians didn't have any time to conduct oversight because of their attention was all on the 2025 budget, and that was obviously passed. And so when this last week we realized that the finance minister has not come again, there has not been any explanation. We started to see, look, is this just a nicety, or is this, when we look into it deeper, we realize that Standing Order 94, and I can read that out because I think it's important for people to understand what exactly are the rules saying, which is very, very important. What exactly is the rule saying? Standing Order 94, it reads, the Vice President or a minister responsible for finance shall, at least once during each session of the Assembly, make an oral ministerial statement to the Assembly on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget. Now, this goes to show that this is not being complied with. Parliament is not complying with this regulation in their own standing orders. And in my view, it's Parliament that's leaving the minister to go scot-free with this, There's a lot more we can talk about because things used to be so much better, I don't like to compare the current minister to the previous minister
But it's good
and
to do
all
so.
of that. But I mean, in the past, what used to happen? The budget, every ordinary session, the finance minister would come and make a report to the parliament to
As
tell them.
mandated by the...
Yes, as mandated by the standard order. This would always happen. But this now is not happening. Then, for example, February, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, their website, they would have the budget performance report, which is the same as the budget implementation report, online. And by February, they would have had December to, January to December the previous year. So they used to be just 1 month out of sync. But all of those good practice, right, is no more. We used to thank the Ministry of Finance. Whenever they used to do that, we would say, well done. You people are at the forefront of making information accessible to the public. But no longer is the Ministry of Finance.
Before we go further, it will be very important, just make a breakdown for us and also for our audience. What is budget oversight and how do Parliament perform this very important mandate?
That's a very important question. Budget oversight, many people will be wondering, what is this guy talking about? Me, I don't even know what is this budget oversight, like you rightly highlighted. Budget oversight, to put it quite frank, easily, so that an ordinary layman will understand. You, as a human being, for example, you say, this year, this is how I'm going to be spending my money, right? But you don't just wait up until the end of the year and then you start to look how you are spending the money. You do it as you go. Every month you'll be like, hey, last month I overspent here. I shouldn't. I should go back to the plan and spend accordingly. So budget oversight, when it comes to the budget, it starts off with budget formulation, which is the government is working with the different MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. That's what MDAs mean. The government, the Ministry of Finance specifically, is leading that. They will have a budget which they will prepare. And then they go to the budget approval stage. That's where you and I mostly will be reporting. Parliament, this is where they are debating. This is where the government has tabled the budget, executive budget. They will debate it and then they will approve. And then you get to implementation. Implementation is when they are going along the year, the budget has been passed, now they are implementing the budget. Then you have oversight. Oversight and implementation, they go concurrently. So, according to our standing orders, every ordinary session, the Parliament are supposed to receive the finance minister's report that this is how the budget has been spent. So normally they will do that on a quarterly basis. Then Parliament will now bring those documents, look at it, to say, hey, this is where we said that you should spend this money. You have not spent it here. What is happening? Oh, why is this money being spent in this area? What is happening? In doing so, from a quarterly basis, they can control waste, fraud, and abuse. Right? So that what ends up happening, because there's another process, National Audit Office, at the end of the year, they are going to audit all of government. So what happens now? If Parliament is on a quarterly basis, right, looking at the budget, scrutinizing it, then you end up seeing that they remove a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. Then National Audit Office, then their work will be a little bit less, you see. That's how we are managing as a country. This is the system that should be in place. This is what we call budget oversight. Every quarterly, at least minimum, Parliament is scrutinizing the books, scrutinizing government expenditure to make sure that you don't just wait until the end of the year. Now look, audit 2020 is what we're auditing.
Exactly. Just sad.
Look how far back that is. So I will argue that budget oversight is even more important, right? The budget oversight is even more important because of, in a way, it's being done almost real time in a way. Yeah? At least every quarterly, you come to Parliament. When you report, Parliament looks at it, checks it, and then they will have two books. They will have what you have implemented, Then what was the budget? What did the budget say you should do? Then now when you see the implementation, they look at it, they say, what you have implemented and what we have budgeted is in line. You are not deviating from the plan. Because budget is just a plan. You see, you are not deviating from the plan. Now, or they say, look, this is what we told you to do. This is the budget that has been passed. But how comes you are doing something different? You see, then they can manage to find waste, fraud, and abuse. Budget oversight is not that complicated. It's just how are our monies, to put it in very simple language, is Parliament checking to make sure that the budget that they approve is exactly that the government is following. Of course, they have laws that allow violence and those kind of things, yes.
Okay, a very important point there, which I also believe that will benefit our readers out there. The second thing is now that what are the implications for such a gross violation of the law? And this thing happened in the house that is mandated to be making laws and also to ensure that other agencies implement these laws.
It's very, very important. How it has come about, I will highlight that, the ABC, because Parliament, their agenda every day is dictated by the Assembly Business Committee, which is spearheaded by the Speaker. So now, the Speaker is a very important figure when it comes to deciding what is going to come on that day. All right? So I can only say, like you have seen, last year, the 2025 budget was tabled late. And now the National Assembly and the Finance Minister, they have issue at court. Activists, advocates are taking them to court.
I remember during that time, the minister only issued an apology.
Exactly.
Was that enough?
It seems like they are taking them to court, so we'll have to see whether that was enough. Because certainly, that was a gross violation, and if you do a gross violation, is it okay for the minister to just come and say, I apologize? Well, the Speaker said that was okay because of some of the other members were pushing for action to be taken. But that never happened.
Yeah, I heard the Speaker say so, apology is okay.
Accepted, and then he brushed it off.
But as a journalist who understands parliamentary proceedings, do you think that was okay?
For me, I think that sends the wrong signal. There have to be consequences. Parliament has power, and they need to wield the power to make sure that ministers know that they have to comply with the Constitution. The Constitution cannot tell you, bring the budget 60 days before. You don't bring the budget 60 days before.
And you don't tell people what happened before.
You don't, exactly.
You don't explain.
Properly. Because the standing orders, Parliament, their own standing order, right? Which the Speaker should be the most #1 advocate, not me standing here saying that the standing order has been violated. The Speaker should be the one standing or doing the work behind the scenes, telling the Finance Minister, you have to comply with Standing Order 94. So, not only the Speaker, the ABC, I don't want to just limit it to the Speaker. So for me, how it has come about, I believe, is Parliament not wielding their power, is the ABC committee allowing items which are already in the agenda not to be done. These are very, very, very worrying signs, which, as I highlighted, even last year, failure to table the budget on time shows you the trend. I was trying to highlight the trend, which has resulted to that. And as I said, last year, the one that made a lot of noise is the late tabling of the budget. When the second ordinary session happened, this finance minister didn't table the implementation report, there was no noise. Same in the third ordinary session. It's only few of us who are journalists that are interested in finance. What is the implication of this? What is the impact of this, you ask, to come to this? Now, when the finance minister comes and reports to Parliament and Parliament scrutinizes it, you and I as journalists, we report on this. This is one of our primary source of information, where to tell Gambians, this is a very important responsibility for taxpayers, for us as journalists, and for the National Assembly, to tell Gambians how their money is being spent. At least 4 times in a year. That should happen. What do I mean 4 times in a year? Every quarter. Every 3 months. Right? Every 3 months, right? The finance minister comes and he does that in parliament. Then you and I as journalists, media houses, civil society organizations, citizens who are interested in how the budget is being spent will be informed. Because of Yusuf Taylor will write on it on Askanwi, Dauda Balde will also write on it on Fatu Network, another media will write on it, and then they will be saying...
And radios will pick it up from there as well.
Pick it up from there.
So that even my grandma in the village will understand, because radios will also translate this in different national dialects.
Exactly. But that is not happening. And the reason why that is not happening, they are not coming to parliament to speak.
And parliament is not taking...
Parliament is not taking, is not demanding that, you, Mr. Finance Minister, what is wrong? Standing Order 94. Standing Order 94, Mr. Finance Minister, where is the update of how you are spending the money? So, these are the implications. Another additional implication. There are many implications to this. This is very serious. One of the most serious implications is that our monies can be wasted and fraudulently, corruption is going anyhow in the country. Money is being wasted anyhow, and nobody is able to track it and clamp down on it. Right now, as I speak to you, I'm doing my research. We have another publication on Askanwi which is coming. We have wrote about our budget, and the only information that is available is from January to November 2024, which is most of the year, 11 months out of 12. 28% of our funds have gone to paying debt.
Wow, serious.
In that same report, they give you a top 10 of the top spending ministries. They don't give you all of the ministries, which is very bad.
But they just list top 10.
They just give us the top 10. Within that top 10, when I am doing my analysis, you can see some ministries have overspent at the 11th month, not even at the end of the year. Now, what should happen? By now, we should be able to get, and we are in March 2025. By now, the spending from January to December 2024 should be already discussed and uploaded. Now, by now, we should have spending of at least January. Coming into March, first, second week of March, why should February's expenditures not be out? It should be. You understand? This is how us as journalists, let me tell you something. You know, people are always blasting journalists, but truthfully, sometimes we are failing. I'm not saying that journalists are not working very hard in this country. I've seen your work. I've seen work of many of our colleagues who are working very hard, but I mean just overall. Overall.
We should do better.
Which country can you imagine, right? The monies are being spent and Gambians don't even know how our monies are being spent.
So this will take us to the next question. So what is the role of the public when issues like this arise?
The public have a very important role, and their role, in my view, they need to engage their National Assembly members. Parliamentarians are there to represent them. And all of us, we have our representatives in our own local area. Me, one thing, even though I am a journalist, I engage my parliamentarians all the time. If you go to my phone, National Assembly member, honorable this, honorable that, I'm always engaging them. Because these people, they are representing us. And what I have observed, there are some of them that are very responsive. Very, very so. Very much, to be honest. It's a numbers game. If I am just engaging one member, and that member goes there and starts making one noise, then the 50-something members are not in line with him. Nothing is going to change. You, the people, the citizens, the civil society organizations have to be the ones to engage these National Assembly members. This is something which, for me, quite frankly, I believe is just a lapse. And it goes to show you the mentality of us as Gambians. When I raise this thing, there is no warning, no alarm. It's as if it's just normal.
Yeah.
Our expenditures are being spent and we don't know how they are being spent. It's okay. It's not a problem.
It feels like I think Gambians are just content with this. What is happening?
It's just okay. Business as usual. Yet still in this country, we go through in this country, bread was lacking, fuel was lacking. There's very soon even air will be lacking in this country.
So, okay, I think there is a lot of debate on social media that most of the parliamentarians, especially in the 6th legislature, are incompetent. You have been consistent in covering parliamentary proceedings. What is your take on this?
Now, I saw, are you talking about the polls that's on What's on Gambia that's been going around?
Prior to this, in fact, the discussions are always there, especially when people talk about the National Assembly.
Yeah, so I like to look at the parliamentarians individually, each one of them. And from what I observe, there are some members who are very capable. Yeah, but then we need to understand that in parliament you have members who are new and you have members who have been in parliament before. So most members who are experienced, they are in their second term. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. Now there are some members who are new, who, especially those who have been very effective in either civil society or local community, for example. And I think I have no choice but to name one or two. You know, like Honorable Suleiman of, what's it called? Bundung
Kakunda.
You know, he was a councillor. And he was somebody who worked very hard in his local community. So he have a very good rapport with his community.
I always hear him say that I am a public representative and I don't believe in talks, I believe in actions.
He's a very, I've seen him working very diligently, representing his community, bringing in very positive, you know, things, and avoiding a lot of unnecessary back and forth. You don't see, he's not involved in those things. And then you have other members who are completely different, who, like Honorable Yaya Menteng Sanyang, every session, you know, he will have back and forth with the speaker, even Suleiman Saho and others. But parliament is a place of politics, right? For me, I don't think that they are incompetent, but I have been very disappointed in some of their decisions.
But the question is some. Do you think some are incompetent?
Some are, yes.
Very incompetent.
Some are incompetent, yes. I mean, let's face this, let's face it. Even when a poll was done, which of the leaders, that's CRPD, they did a poll. And then you could see the National Assembly members, they are even under the president. And they are coming towards the bottom. People don't feel that they are doing very well. You know, even the executive is considered doing much better.
Because I've been covering parliament, I see some parliamentarians, the last day they speak was the day they were taking their oath.
Yes, you know.
To speak something so sensible.
You know, some members have not even had to contest to win their seat. You understand? So, members who are nominated, you know, who are their electorates, who are their constituents, who are they sort of, who do they feel that they, you know, are...
President.
Yeah. You see, because of that's the person who nominated them.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you see, I feel that I'm not trying to say anything against all the nominated members. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about even just their mandate and their loyalty to who that they are going to represent is what I'm questioning.
But some people, I'm talking about the elected ones.
Yes. The elected members, definitely some of them need a lot more work. What I mean by that, their arguments, do they
of their game.
Yes, do their arguments, are they even arguing in the first place in parliament? Have they consulted their constituents so that they can represent them better? You see, some members, they will come, they will not even say anything. And what I mean by that, you can see some members, like for example, Banjul, I've seen their members have engaged their electorates, their constituents, prior to the constitution.
I think that's what every other
Members should be doing. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that they are not, because even no matter how smart or intelligent you are as a National Assembly member, you can still be deemed as incompetent if you are not engaging your electorates to get what their views and concerns are, so that you will represent them. That's what a representative is.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
You are representing them.
It's not about how intelligent you think you are. Fine. Sometimes some things is, a matter of your morals, and you just cannot sacrifice it. You understand? But most of the time, and that's going to be very few and far between. You understand? Huh? But most of the time, your arguments, your debates, your positions should be informed by what your
people want,
constituents want, what your electorates want.
So, okay, in 2024 alone, we've had a lot of scandals in government, and also one of the biggest scandals that was raised by a member of parliament, which led to the establishment of a commission to inquire about this, was Honorable Seni Jawara, about the $30 million Russia oil scandal.
Yes, that's a huge, huge scandal.
What do you make of this, and how do you think parliament is ensuring that these things is not repeated again?
Well, there is going to be resolutions, and I understand that that will come within this ordinary session. So Parliament has investigated it. Of course, if you can remember, when they were doing it, some of it, we raised some concerns.
It was in public and some private.
That's one of the issues, which is also a cause for concern. Why? They should be having these things open. They don't need to be hiding some of these sessions. So people will now have to look at what comes out in the report, and then Parliament will have to make a resolution. I hope that they make a resolution which is going to have an effect or an impact, you understand, so that anybody who is thinking or even contemplating something similar, because of the court had tried and nothing had been done about it. Some people have raised concerns that they feel that this thing, it was just brought in court
just for formality.
Just for formality, to show that they are doing something. And now we want to see whether Parliament is going to similarly show that 30 million worth of a product, petroleum.
And we are talking about $30 million, which is about millions of dollars.
Just disappeared, and nobody can be accountable. No, definitely. Then that means that we are rubber stamping corruption in this country.
And I read an investigative piece by The Republic, which was published by The Republic, and the police initially launched an investigation into this, but few days they were instructed to stop. But the police never explained about who instructed them, because I think this is now a norm that when the big fish are involved.
Orders from above. We thought that we have moved from that. Order from above, and then you act on it. You see, this is one of the reasons why we are calling for a separation or some level of independence for the Inspector General of Police. If the Inspector General of Police is currently, his tenure is intact, for example, the president cannot just get up and say, I fire you just because of I don't like to see your face.
Or I don't agree with what you did.
What you just did, And then that means that the Inspector General is going to do whatever the executive. We all know the opposition don't have that power. They cannot tell the IGP what to do. They don't have that authority. So it's common. What we are saying, even though someone can say, I was not there to hear instruction being fed to who and who, but it seems most likely that that kind of instruction is going to come from the executive, because they are the only ones that have the power to do so. Now, this is one of the reasons why independence for the police is important. Nobody should be instructing the IGP who to investigate, who not to investigate, what investigations to drop, what investigations not to drop. Those have to be dictated based on the facts that is put in front of them. And the law is equal. Nobody is above the law. One of the problems which we are now showing is to show that the law is here to address some people, and for some other people, because they are in power, the law can be set aside for them.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yusuf, we don't intend to keep you here long because you are also a very busy editor I know you have a lot of stuff in mind, but if you have anything that you want to wrap up this interview with.
Yes, thank you so much. I just want to highlight of course, my disappointment in the diaspora clause being removed. I really feel like the end is not there. We are not at the end yet, and that something needs to be done to rectify that. And I'm calling on all parliamentarians, every single National Assembly member, to please do the needful. Make sure that you conduct the budget oversight. You understand? Especially before the end of this first ordinary session, the finance minister should come and provide a budget implementation report to Parliament. How are our monies being spent? It's very, very important. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much. And to our viewers out there, we thank you so much for being with us. I've been your host, Dauda Balde, and my guest today was Yusuf Taylor at FlexDan, who is the editor-in-chief of Askanwi Media. Thank you so much. On behalf of my team here at the Fatu Network, we say thank you so much, and Ramadan Karim to each and everyone.